Hello. So, we have week 2 match highlights once again. I don't think I'm starting on the right tab. I am not. Because I'm professional. There we go. There's game 1. So yeah, we have our week 2 UBL Majors League highlight match. Now you may not recognize the Pokemon on the bottom of the screen. Obviously, you may not recognize the Pokemon on the top of the screen either, because I can't remember actually who we featured on last week's. I recorded it like 2 weeks ago, and I don't have that good of a memory. However, the bottom of the screen is actually a new coach. So originally, we had High Seas. However, they left, so to take over, we actually have Starlit. Starlit is actually someone who has actually played in VGC 20, in like VGC 27, actually has been to tournaments, so they certainly have some experience with VGC in general. And I think their team as a whole is something to show for that. So I'll quickly go over their team, because it is like they took the whole team and just revamped it massively, and it now looks like a very good team. So their squad as a whole, for the OKC Onixes, coached by Starlit, is Groudon, Mega Blaziken, Zapdos, Bisharp, Hitmontop, Gardevoir, Butterfree, Gourgeist, Tapu Fini, Klefki, Ninjask, and Chlorissa. So, they lost week 1 to Airstream. However, this week we will see a potentially different story. But we have oh my goodness, we have Gilbates on the top here. We've got this. We can see the Sandcore mode here. We've got the Thunderous, Tapu Bulu, Heatran, and we have the Illumise. So I questioned what Illumise did in the team builder video, or not team builder video, the what's it called? The power rankings video. And I questioned Illumise. I was like, I have no idea what Illumise does, but I'll trust what they know what they're doing with it. And I think this set is also going to highlight what it can do. So, I think this is a really good set. Just with my pick for the match of the week to highlight. More so to introduce you all to Starlit, because I think having them introduced as the new coach and showing what they can do is a very good. It was a good idea. I just thought it was a good idea. Just so anyway, this was also, I believe, the only match in both majors and minors total that actually went to 3 games. So I prefer to do 3 games because it's more to talk about, more to analyze, and shows off the potential of both teams rather than just one team getting swept. Unless I think there's something very important about it. So let's start things off. We've got Groudon Butterfree as a lead versus Thunderous Illumise. See a Rage Powder come out, Thunder Wave, but misses, and a Tailwind coming out. And you notice that was pretty fast. I didn't notice. But Illumise gets Prankster. So it's a Prankster Tailwind setter. Which is kind of crazy. But that makes Illumise's, like, utility, like, way higher than I would have given it credit for. Especially in a Draft League format. So, props to Gilbates for picking up something that even I overlooked. I wouldn't say it's massively game-changing, and I wouldn't say it's like, I overlooked it, it's broken for what tier it's in, because it was a tier 5. Because it's still an Illumise, and it's got, like, zilch for defense. But at the same time, like, it's certainly not bad. Like, a Tailwind setter that's tier 5, that's Prankster, like, I wouldn't complain much about that. However, we also see something very interesting. We see Rock Polish on this Groudon. So already that's a threat. Sun is still up. We get the Thunder Wave off. This time, we get it onto the Butterfree, and we see the Charm come out. And this is where things start to get dicey. Because Charming the Groudon, when it's trying to boost up with this Rock Polish and not Swords Dance, means that this Groudon's not going to get going anywhere. Groudon's pretty powerful. But when you've when you're just charming it constantly, it doesn't really go anywhere. And the Butterfree is going to set up its own Tailwind, so we have Tailwind Wars now. We see the Swagger come out, and this looking like a very 2013 looking Thunderous over here. And already, like, we see just this Groudon isn't getting anything done. Granted, like, Gilbates isn't really getting a lot done themselves. They try to read a switch here, going for a Thunder Wave and a Charm into the Groudon, which I think is a fair enough point. When you see your Groudon's at -4, you want to get it out and try and do something useful. And you don't want to waste all your moves into a Butterfree that may just try and stay in and go for the 5th, like, try and hit through the 30% Confusion and the 25% Power Hacks. Whereas, like, it's a -6 Groudon now, so, like, yeah. See the Citrus come out, we're obviously seeing it's a bit of a bulkier Thunderous, presumably, anyway. We see a switch here, and, yeah, now we see the Charm on the Blaziken as well. But the Sleep Powder does come out and hits into this Thunderous, which is pretty big. So, yeah. Makes sense to just go for the Thunderbolt this time, try and take out this Butterfree, but we see it's Sash, which makes a lot of sense, but we see this bringing into T-Tar. Blaziken protects, often does. Thunder Wave tries to come out. The power there probably blocking a Sleep Powder and gets taken out by Sand from T-Tar, which is a really good play. And this also, really good play. This is one of my favorite things about Mega T-Tar in general, especially in a Draft League format. When your opponent can bring in a weather to try and overwrite your weather, having the ability to Mega T-Tar to re-overwrite the weather because you reset Sandstream is really nice. It makes a lot of Pokemon a lot less offensive than you would think. Take for this instance, Groudon wanted to go for Fire Punches now, or Eruptions, or things like that, aren't nearly going to be as powerful because the Sand is now up. So, granted, you really want to go for those anyway, but it means that any strategies to go with pairing the Mega Blaziken and this Groudon means that, like, the fire damage from the Blaziken is also dropped as well. Again, something you don't really want to hear, but it's something to keep in mind. So we see the Thunder Wave come out onto the Blaziken gets paralyzed, Rock Polish comes out onto the Groudon, and we see a Foul Play come out. It's a little strange that, like, you go Foul Play over, like, Crunch, especially when you're trying to do Charm things, which I think has a little bit of anti-synergy. Unless there was a read of a switch here, which I guess could make sense, but at the same time, I'm just not sure. But we're seeing this Blaziken's getting faster, and to the point where the Thunder Wave has been negated realistically. And both go down here to the combined power of Groudon and Blaziken. Even with the -2 attack, a low kick is going to take out a T-Tar, no matter which way you look at it. We see Bulu is in the back. See a Protect come out from the Blaziken. Rock Slide to chip down. And the Sandstorm is going to take out the Thunderous as well here. And that just leaves Bulu against the Groudon and, more importantly, a Mega Blaziken. Granted, the Blaziken gets paralyzed, but Bulu really doesn't have a lot of coverage anyway, so it wouldn't really hit the Blaziken for that much, and if it does, it's not like there isn't something in the back. Granted, it's Tapu Fini. And we see the Octoberry come out right at the end there, which is really great information for Starlit. Knowing that the Octoberry is there, and also really cool tech. So, I think, like, this game 1 showed good prep from both players. Starlit was playing to his strengths of using the Mega Blaziken and the Groudon. However, Gilbate saw that those were more susceptible to things like Charm, and was able to slow down those physical attackers. Maybe not enough. I think maybe they led a bit too passively, which didn't let them get off the ground quick enough. They also brought the Tapu Bulu to counteract the Tapu Fini, so I think their prep overall, like, looks really good off the bat. So let's see if they can. Let's see what they do with it in Game 2. So Game 2, we see a start. This time we straight see a Sand lead. It's T-Tar Excadrill versus God of War Blaziken. And also really nice that we see the Trace to copy the Sand Rush, but a straight switch into Groudon to try and stop that Sand Rush. And again, we see this Mega evolving to replace the Sun. And we see the double Rock Slide here. We saw a flinch, I believe somewhere, yeah, so... we saw a flinch from the first Rock Slide from the Excadrill hitting into that Blaziken, which meant the Blaziken could not take out this, could not take out the T-Tar, so... that makes things a lot harder for Starlit in this game, because the momentum is definitely not in their favor. And this time we see a Swagger into the Groudon. They're playing risky, and it's playing off in this situation. Trying to get a Swagger boosted, Groudon to run through this team. There's not even a berry to really help it. It's just straight up, I'm using Swagger Gardevoir to try and go for it. Let's play risky here. They feel the need to do so. We see the Tapu Fini come out. Yeah. Down goes that. Sorry, I just, like, my brain just stopped working for half a second, so I've, like... So yeah, the Thunder Wave goes out into the Groudon, which I guess maybe you expect to switch. But at the same time, like, I'm not sure. Maybe you expect an ally switch. I believe. Guardian might get that. I'm not sure if in this generation it does, but it might get ally switch. But obviously now the Tapu Fini's in, so no Thunder Wave shenanigans are gonna work. Which I suppose, like, if you're gonna Swagger yourself and then like use, but have Tapu Fini like have set up the Misty Train, it makes sense. But yeah, and then we see the Precipitate Blades take out the Excadrill. So now it's 2v3 for Gilbates, but they have the Bulu in the back, which I believe I said this in the last video, where it's a lot about playing to your endgame. And this is another one of those situations where they play to an endgame where they just had to remove Blaziken, and Bulu really goes in on this team. Like, it really does. Like, Butterfree's not offensive, and Blaziken will take out Bulu, but they've also got Ockerberry. So it's not like without boost, Blaziken's really gonna take it out. So like this Bulu is like an incredible Pokemon for this matchup. So like their team is built in a way where playing around this Bulu looks like to be a great win condition. So we see the Power Eyes come out, Psychic come out into Bulu. Bulu barely lives and goes for the Bulk Up. Sand ends and the Grassy Terrain heals it a little bit. But both attacks here are going to take it out. I'd say the Mega Horn was a little bit risky. But the T-Bolt doing over half to the Guardy definitely seals it up. So that's it for game 2. I think that was that was an example of like a bit of hacks, but also I think Gilbert kind of played to their endgame. So, but now we go into game 3. We see the T-Star Excadrill lead again, and this time we're seeing Blaziken Butterfree. The Mega comes out, and I think this is one of the mistakes here. I would not Mega immediately. Knowing there's a Groudon in the back, saving your Megas for when the Groudon comes in to negate the Sun is huge. Sure, the Blaziken can go for the Fire, but it also means you keep your special defense boost for the T-Tar and just keeps the game in your favor. It also makes it so your Excadrill can still be faster. I think this might have been a mistake. One of, I suppose, misplays that could be said. I understand wanting to keep Sand, and also maybe you switch. Unless you expect a Groudon switch in, which it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, no. No, I could understand it. No, I'm not going to call it a straight misplay. I wouldn't say that. If you expect a Groudon switch in, replacing the Sand with the Groudon switch in there makes a lot of sense. But then you got to factor in Rage Powder being like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to stop everything. Plus, Blaziken tends to protect turn 1 anyway, so it's not like you get a lot out of it. And I think that is the reason why it's maybe not as good of a play. On the other hand, you also have Rock Slide, which means that Rage Power is negated, but I would say just because Blaziken often protects turn 1 anyway to get its speed boost, especially against an Excadrill, like, it's perhaps not the best play that could have been made. Saving your resetting of Sand is so big. Granted, it does mean that the Butterfree is going to guarantee go down here because of Sand, but you lose the Excadrill because of, you know, it's gone to sleep. Compound Ice Sleep Powder. So you switch come out, Mega up, low kick straight into that, into the Mega T-Tar. That was never living. And Rock Polish comes out from the Groudon, and this is where momentum swings for the rest of the game. It doesn't matter about no Thunder Waves. Stone's going to come out, take it out. I'm going to say that also didn't matter. And this is just a clean sweep from here on out. And yeah, there's nothing that can be done at this point. We see the Balloon Heatran, which makes a lot of sense. Protect comes out, just try and make it so it's faster. And we see a Hidden Power, and this also reveals the weakness policy on the Groudon that's been there the whole time. So yeah. Whether that mega misplay, quote-unquote, mattered in the end, I wouldn't be able to say for sure. My guess is probably not. Honestly, the Sleep Powder was what was the big one there. The fact that the Sleep Powder hit into the Excadrill and just made it so there wasn't nearly as much offensive pressure coming out from Gilbate's side. And both Groudon and Blaziken got in at the same time in a good enough position. And that really made it hard for Gilbates to come back. Like, this combination, I said it at the start of the season. I said it in Team Builder for, I believe, who has it? I believe it's Karuto and Team Bad in the Minor Division. They have this combo as well. And I said it there, this is a scary combination. So once this offense starts going, it really gets going and it's hard to slow down. So it's like when you've got things like Butterfree Sleep Powdering one of your main offensive threats and really making it so that you couldn't play to this Blaziken, like taking out the Blaziken endgame. Which granted didn't look as good because the Heatran was brought, but yeah. We can guess the back Pokemon was presumably Tapu Fini. That's how they brought it game 1. But yeah, so this is a good example of like why this offensive core is as good as it is, in my opinion. Not to mention they also have Bishop to slow down Intimidators as well. They didn't bring, because I don't believe Gilbase has any Intimidators. Or at least not off the top of my head. So yeah. I think both teams prepped really well this week. I just think this offensive core is a very hard one to stop consistently. And especially when you're throwing in Sleep Powers into the mix, not the easiest thing to do. So, and Starlit is a good player as well. Gilbase is also a good player. They took that game pretty handily in game 2. Well, not pretty handily, but like they took it well. And they also played to their endgame at the end. I think the game 3 I don't think was played as well as it could have been. Again, not knocking any players during this, but this is just kind of the analysis that I would like to give in these sorts of videos. But that will do it for this video, speaking of which. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. So take it easy, everyone.